when we are talking about Oya, we are talking the different colors produced when this beam of light goes through the prism. So, we are talking about all the colors less the black color. Why? Because the black color is the absence of light. So, when there is not emission of light, there is not different colors. That's why in our religion, in our practice, when we are talking about Oya, we say all the colors less the black color. For example, when we are talking about the purple color, we are talking about what? We are talking about Babaluaye. And it represents inside us, for example, it represents what? The immune system. When we're talking about the red color, we are talking about Shango. Why? Because Shango represents, in this case, part of the let's say the lowest part of the energy of that spectrum of light. So that's why Shango in the lowest part of this energy, and Obatala in the highest part of this energy, is the combination, the perfect combination of the spectrum of light. That's why we say in religion, there is not Obatala without Shango, or there is not Shango without Obatala. When we are talking about Oshun, we are talking about that kind of wavelength that produces the different shadows of the color yellow. But we're talking about one element very important in nature. Which one? Carbon. Without that element, the chain of carbon is what we call the backbone of everything in nature. And the other kind of elements which are very important, like oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, they have to be inserted in this kind of chain in order to form the different elements and at the same time the different reactions. That's why in Ochetura, we, in the story, when all the Irumole, or the 400 and one Irumole came down to earth, the only Irumole what was a female was Oshun. And Olodumare said that without Oshun, nothing could be possible. Because in that moment, the Irumole, which were male, they never counted on Oshun to do the different things, the different work. But everything that they did, they failed. Why? Because there was an element very important that was the base of everything. That's why Olodumare said, without you, you cannot get anything done. That element is carbon. But the most important thing is that when we are talking about these things, we are talking about the relationship that exists among those Orisha, Irumole, Osha. That they in isolation cannot do anything. But they need the effort of the rest of them, because they are part of a whole. Part of a whole. So that's why When we are talking about studies, we are talking about the different relationship between one, two, or three orishas at the same time. Because we are talking about the effort that they made in order to have something done. So, when they are working, they are the kind of energy that is behind, the information that is behind that kind of work done or is taking part, that is taking place. That kind of power, energy behind that kind of work that is taking place, they are the orishas. And the heat produced as a result of their work, they have different wavelength. They have different levels of energy. They have different colors. This is exactly the representation of the colors of the work of the Orisha. The why they are identified, each of them, by a color. When we were talking about the purple dealing with the immune system, in this case, Babalu Aye, we were talking, for example, about the work that the immune system it represents in our life, in our body. It's the defense of our body. But in order to produce that kind of immune system, in order to produce a work, in order to produce the elements, and one of them, for example, the lymphocyte, that's one of the cell of the immune system that plays a very important role in the defense of the body. It is very important to produce by the body something that is a muramil, is a kind of substance, muramil peptide. The muramil peptide is the kind of substance that is going to encourage, stimulate the body to produce something very important, to synthesize what? The lymphocyte. In order to produce that peptide, we need what? Shango, who represents what? The amino acids that form part of that peptide. Because a peptide or what we call the protein is made of amino acids. They are different blocks. Okay? Different blocks. Blocks of what? Blocks of a kind of molecule that contains nitrogen. And why Shango? Because the fact is that Shango is the father, the owner of the rays, the owner of the linings. And what happened? That every time that lining takes part in nature, produces what we call nitrogen. And when the rain comes down, remember that the rain belongs to Shango also. When the rain comes down, it's absorbed by the earth, and the different bacteria that is in the earth produces the different nitrogen compounds. And these nitrogen compounds are absorbed by what? By the plants. In order to form what? The protein. Because the protein is the only kind of molecule that contains nitrogen. Not all the molecule contains nitrogen, but the protein. So, who is indeed the owner of those proteins, the owner of the amino acids, the owner of the nitrogen, the owner of that process to synthesize protein at the same time to synthesize some other part of the different processes of the body. Django, that's why he is called the king. The king of what? The king of the process. The king of the process that we call life on earth. And remember that we are closely attached to those origins. And that kind of attachment is what we call religion. So that's why we say that Django is the king of our religion. The king of that attachment that we have on earth. So the different colors as a result, as an output of the work done by the different Orisha. That is what we call in general the different treatment, or what we call the different stories of information info. In general, each of the Orisha are identified by a work. And the result of that work is a kind of heat. And the result of that heat, level of that heat, is the color. This is the relationship between the colors and the Orisha, which are identified by those colors.